UK's fertility rate is dropping, sparking worries about the future economic impact. So I've got the numbers here. In 2010, there were 807,000 live births in the UK, and in 2023, that dropped to 598,000.
Wow.
Now, at the same time, egg freezing and storage has increased by 81% between 2019 and 2022. So, is the power to delay parenthood going to result in a generation of people who leave it too late? I mean, a lot of people can think about the right time to have children, but that high percentage of egg freezing probably has a lot to do with people knowing that it's an option as opposed to, say, 10 years ago when they didn't. There was an age gap with you, Linda, when it came to you having your kids. Did you think about the right time?
Well, I had Lauren when I was 25, and then there was an 11-year gap before I had Louis, and then I think about a 5-year gap before I had Bobby girl. So at 25, I was quite a young mum and everything. I lost one in between Louis and Lauren, so I would have had 4 children, but that didn't happen. But yeah, it was just, I mean, the age difference. Lauren hated Louis when he was born because she'd had 11 years of me on her own and sleeping in the bed with me, and it was just me and her. And then all of a sudden, this brother turns up who's got eczema and asthma, and so he needed a bit more care than the other kids and whatever. It was only when we went to Australia, I was working out in Australia, I took the 3 kids out there, that Louis and Lauren actually bonded because she was looking after him while I was working and everything. Now the 3 of them are close as anything. Honestly, they really, really are.
Do you think there's and they're such wonderful children, Cole, do you think there's a right time?
I think nowadays what happens is people, and rightly so, women, you know, and men have been given the opportunity now to have it all, basically. And I think they try and work it out so it is the right time, career-wise, money-wise. You know, they try and set it up that it's going to be right time for them. Now, in my opinion, which means nothing, I don't think there is a right time, because I think no matter how well you plan it, you've no idea till those children get here and, you know, all this stuff you've planned, but, you know, that 1 week that you'd planned to do this, the child's ill and you can't do it. There's just no planning. I had Shane at 23 and then went on to have Kira at 36 and obviously Jake in the middle, but there was no right time. And my sister kept waiting for the right time. You know, everything was, it's next year, it's not the right time, it's not the right time, and ended up not having children, which she now says, God love her, with everything she's going through as well, this is Linda, you know, the worst, you know, the biggest regret of her life is that she didn't just go, it doesn't matter what time, I want to have kids. So I think it's really hard. You can try and be as sensible as possible, but I think you just make it work.
Yeah.
You just make it work.
I think I agree with some of what I think you said, but I think that it's really easy. I said some. But I think it's... Stop it!
Sorry.
But I think that we like to put the onus on, especially women, far too much when it comes to, you know, we have the conversation about low birth rate and immediately it's like, oh, it's women wanting to have it all and blah, blah, blah. But something also has to be said for supporting parents to have children. So we have, you know, nursery fees is like paying another mortgage. So you have to think about the finances of that. If the support system around you financially isn't there in order to help facilitate you having children, that, I think, has a far bigger impact. If you know, did I have the money to be able to pay for nursery school fees when I was 22 years old? No, I didn't. And it's not about having the life I wanted to lead, but that has to come into play, that if I can't work and pay nursery fees, then that impacts whether or not I work and I'm able to pay bills and all of those things. I don't think that's necessarily about being sensible. It's about being practical as well.
Because you could go, I don't care, and then not have that opportunity.
Yeah, and then not work and all of that stuff. I like the work that I do, but also there are so many families and couples up and down the country that finances do come into it. We are currently in the middle of a cost of living crisis. Food costs a lot more in terms of what we're having to pay for our shopping, for example. And then, you know, wages are not increasing at the same rate as inflation is, so money comes into it. And if the support system isn't what it should be, as it is elsewhere in Europe, Those are real life decisions for parents, and that isn't helping. And I think it's really easy just to blame women who want to have it all for the reason why fertility rates are dropping. But it's so much more than that. And also, not all women are able to have children in the way that they want to have it, which also comes into play.
I mean, you have to. Well, for me too. There were obstacles, but I mean, you have to meet the right person too. That's the other missing ingredient. Is, you know, there's the desire to have kids, then there's the financial ability to have kids, and then you have to line up with the actual person being right. And then, if you are lucky enough to meet the right person and have all those things line up, there are still obstacles that can come in your way from a fertility standpoint. You know, I know that we experienced that with our second two, not our first two, but, you know, there were definitely many heartaches and, as I said, obstacles along the way. And I'm very lucky. We're very blessed to have our 4 beautiful children, you know, but you don't get to see what happens behind closed doors in that journey. And, you know, I think there is a thing about, well, we are so lucky to get to have children later because of these advances in science. There's still, I mean, I was kind of laughing about the fact that, you know, after 35, it's considered a geriatric pregnancy still. And
geriatric mum.
Geriatric mum. And I kind of remember, because Coco and Bo have been very open about this, were born via surrogate, that even though my surrogate was 30 years old, she was still considered a geriatric pregnancy because of my dinosaur egg that was in there. It was just like, every time I felt like Barney Rubble, you know, so just like visualizing a fossil in there or something, you know. It was definitely humbling. I wish they'd come up with a different term than geriatric.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But,
I think it's not easy for...
It's not easy.
No.
No, it's
and
not
I think
easy.
that stat of 81% increase in egg freezer and storage, there are financial implications to that too. It's not a free service that's on hand to everybody.
No, it's incredibly expensive.
It costs money to retrieve it, it costs money to store it, it costs money to then reimplant it within you, and it costs money in order to be able to link it up with
and you have to take time off work usually to go through the process, because it's, you know, an early process.
So there are no easy options with this at all.